The distress signal had been repeating for so long that most people believed it was nothing more than background noise from a dead civilization. It came from a forgotten sector near a collapsed star, a place no one visited because there was nothing to gain, no trade routes, no resources, no living population. At least, that was what the charts said. But humanity had learned something early in its time among the stars. If someone was still calling for help, even after centuries, it meant hope had not died yet. The human relief ship Vanguard Mercy exited hyperspace with a quiet shudder. Its hull lights illuminated broken structures drifting in slow silence. What had once been a proud alien capital was now a graveyard of shattered towers and frozen streets. No energy readings, no ships, no movement. Captain Elena Ross stood on the bridge, arms crossed, eyes fixed on the view. "Scan again," she said softly. The sensor officer swallowed.
"Same result, Captain. No active cities."
No fleets. But the signal is still there, coming from the Central Palace ruin. Elena closed her eyes for a moment. Then we answer it. A shuttle descended through the debris field, carrying a small team of humans in sealed suits. Lieutenant Marcus Hale sat near the rear, checking his equipment even though he already knew it was perfect. He had done this too many times to count. Disaster worlds, lost colonies, dead species. Still, something about this place felt different. The palace had collapsed inward, like a broken crown. Ancient symbols covered the walls, worn smooth by time. Inside, emergency lights flickered weakly, still running after centuries on systems no one could fully understand. "That's impossible," one of the scientists whispered. "These power cells should have failed long ago." Marcus didn't answer. He felt it too. Not fear, not danger, presence. They followed the signal deep into the heart of the ruin, down corridors too wide for humans, into a chamber that felt more like a tomb than a room. And there, at the center, lay the reason. The signal never stopped. She was suspended in a crystalline support frame, her body held gently in place by soft light and invisible force fields. She was tall, even by human standards, with skin that shimmered faintly like pearl under the emergency lights. Long, silver-white hair floated around her head as if underwater. Her eyes were open, watching them. Marcus stopped walking without realizing it. "She's alive," someone breathed. The alien princess did not move. She could not. From the neck down, her body was perfectly still. But her eyes followed every human step, sharp and aware. Ancient, intelligent. The translator and plants activated automatically, trying to process her language. For a moment, there was only static. Then a voice entered their minds. Not spoken, but felt. "You came." The sound was calm, controlled, but underneath it was exhaustion deeper than any human had ever known. Captain Ross stepped forward slowly, removing her helmet as a sign of trust. "We received your distress call." "We're human. We came to help." The alien's eyes widened just slightly. Human. The word carried curiosity. The young species, the ones who suffer and endure. Marcus frowned. "How did she know that?" "My name is Althira," the voice continued.
"I am the last princess of the Lyrian Star Throne."
Silence filled the chamber. The scientists exchanged looks. The Lyrians were a legend, an empire said to have vanished before humanity invented faster-than-light travel. Some believed they were only a myth. And yet, here she was. Captain Ross swallowed. "You've been alone. How long?" 412 of your years, Althira replied. "My people died quietly, one by one. I remained, because I could not move, and because I refused to let our memory vanish. One of the medics stepped forward, voice shaking. "Princess, your body. What happened?" War Althera answered simply. "And fear. Our minds evolved to protect us by shutting down the body when hope is lost. For most of my kind, it was the end. For me, it became a prison." Marcus found himself walking closer without realizing it. The closer he got, the more he noticed small details, the way the support frame was damaged and patched together again and again. Repairs made by someone who could not reach the tools herself. "You fixed this alone?" he asked quietly. Her eyes focused on him. "Over centuries," she said, using machines controlled only by thought. It was slow. Marcus's chest tightened. 400 years without touch, without movement, without another living soul. Captain Ross cleared her throat. "We can take you with us, our doctors," Althera interrupted gently. "I do not ask for rescue." That surprised everyone. "I don't understand," the captain said. "My body is failing," Althera continued. "Even with your technology, I will not last many more cycles, but my people's extinction does not have to be final." The scientist leaned forward. "Our records say your species cannot interbreed," one said carefully. "With most species, no," Althera replied, "but humans are different." Marcus felt her attention settle on him again, heavy and direct. "Your minds are adaptable. Your nervous systems are resilient. You form bonds across pain, loss, and difference. You endure paralysis, grief, and trauma, and still choose to live." The room felt suddenly smaller. "What are you asking?" Captain Ross asked. There was a pause, not hesitation. Respect. "I ask for a future," Althera said. "A child. A continuation of my people's line. Not born of desire, but of survival." The words hit the humans like a shockwave. Marcus's heart began to race. "This is far beyond our authority," the captain said carefully. "I know," Althera replied. "That is why I waited for humans. Other species would see only risk." "You see responsibility," Marcus clenched his fists. "And what do you offer in return?" one of the officers asked, voice guarded. Althera's gaze sharpened, and for the first time, something fierce broke through her calm. Eternal devotion. The words carried weight, cultural weight, something sacred, an unbreakable alliance. Knowledge of sciences you have not yet imagined. Loyalty that will not fade across generations. She paused. And gratitude that will never end. The room was silent except for the faint hum of ancient machinery. Captain Ross looked at Marcus, then away, then back again. "Lieutenant, you were the closest to her system interface. Can you stabilize it while we report this?" Marcus nodded slowly. "Yes, ma'am." As the others stepped back to open a long-range channel to Earth, Marcus remained beside Althera. He connected his suit tools to her failing life support array, hands steady, movements careful. "You are not afraid," Althera observed. "I am," Marcus answered honestly. "But humans don't always let fear decide." Her eyes softened. "That is why I chose you." He froze. "Chose me? Not as a demand," she clarified. "As a possibility. You stayed behind during the evacuation drill earlier. You volunteered without being ordered. That matters to my people." Marcus swallowed hard. "I don't know if I'm the right person." "Neither did I," she said quietly, "when I became the last." Outside the palace, the human ship waited, unaware that history had just shifted. For the first time in centuries, the distress signal changed. It was no longer a call for help. It was a promise of tomorrow. The journey back to human space was quiet, but not peaceful. Inside the medical bay of the Vanguard Mercy, Princess Althera rested within a newly built support chamber. Human engineers had worked without sleep, adapting her ancient life support to modern systems. The machines hummed softly, steady and alive, like a heartbeat finally heard again after centuries of silence. Marcus Hale stood nearby, arms folded, watching the monitors. Every line of data told him the same truth. She was stable for now, but barely. "She's holding," Dr. Kim said quietly, rubbing tired eyes. "But the neural decay is accelerating. Her body has been locked in survival mode for too long." Marcus nodded. "How long does she have?" The doctor hesitated. "Months, maybe less. Without intervention." Marcus understood what that meant. Everyone on the ship did. Word of the discovery had already been transmitted to Earth using priority channels. Even before the ship reached human space, the reaction had begun. Not celebration. Not pride. Fear. In a secure chamber on Earth, leaders from across human governments gathered. Screens displayed Althera's image, her still body surrounded by light. No one spoke for a long time. "She's real," one official finally said. "An actual alien royal, last of her kind." "And she wants a child," another added flatly. "With a human?" Murmurs spread through the room. "This could destabilize every interstellar treaty we have," a diplomat argued. "Other species will accuse us of genetic domination." "She's not asking for conquest," someone replied. "She's asking to survive. That's not how the galaxy will see it." Back aboard the Vanguard Mercy, Althera sensed the shift before anyone told her. Her species had been sensitive to emotional currents, and humans were loud in ways they didn't realize. "They are afraid," she said softly into Marcus's mind. He exhaled, slowly. "Yeah."
Humans are good at that, but they still help, she replied.
"That is rare." Marcus pulled a chair closer and sat beside her chamber. "Some will want to protect you. Some will want to hide you. Some will want to say no." "And you?" she asked. He didn't answer right away. "I think saying no would be easier." Althera accepted that without anger. Ease is not how futures are built. 2 days later, the Vanguard Mercy docked at a heavily guarded orbital station. News had already spread beyond human space. Merchant channels buzzed. Mac alien observers whispered. Old empires paid attention. An ancient species returning from extinction was news. Humans being the key was a threat. Marcus was escorted to a secure briefing room. Admiral Reyes stood at the front, her face calm but hard. "You're at the center of this whether you like it or not," she said. "I didn't ask for that," Marcus replied. "No one ever does," the Admiral said. "But the galaxy is watching. Some see you as saviors. Others see you as manipulators." "What do you see?" Marcus asked. Reyes studied him. "I see a soldier who stayed behind when he could have left, and a man about to be crushed by decisions bigger than himself." She leaned closer. "If you say no, we will respect it. No one will force you." Marcus nodded. "And if I say yes, then humanity changes forever." Outside the station, unknown ships began to arrive, not hostile yet, observing. Waiting. Althera watched through external sensors, her mind calm despite the tension. "They fear what they cannot control," she said. "Once my people were like that." Marcus glanced at the growing fleet icons. "What happened?" "We believed survival meant isolation," she replied. "When the war came, we stood alone." Her voice softened. "You do not stand alone. That terrifies them." Protests erupted on Earth. Some humans shouted that no one should carry such a burden. Others demanded Marcus be honored already. Religious groups argued. Scientists debated. Artists wrote songs before decisions were even made. Through it all, Marcus stayed near Althera. One night cycle, when the station lights dimmed, she spoke again, You have not asked what this would cost you. Marcus stared at the ceiling. I'm afraid of the answer. Then hear it, she said gently. The neural bridge required for compatibility will bind parts of our nervous systems, not permanently, but deeply. You will feel echoes of my pain, my memories, and I will feel yours. He closed his eyes. You will never be alone again, she added. That was the part that scared him most. Across the station, alarms suddenly sounded. Unknown fleet maneuvering, a voice shouted over comms. Screens lit up. Several non-human warships shifted into aggressive formations.
They're not attacking,
Admiral Reyes said. They're threatening. A broadcast cut through every channel. This rebirth will destabilize galactic balance, an alien envoy declared. Humanity must step away, or consequences will follow. Marcus felt anger rise in his chest. They let her rot for centuries, he said. Now they care? They care because hope returned, Aelthera replied. Hope is dangerous. The human response was calm but firm. We will not abandon a living being who asked for help. The standoff lasted hours, then days. Supply ships were delayed, trade lanes closed, pressure mounted. Marcus stood before the council one final time. I am not a hero, he said simply. I didn't come here to change the galaxy. I came here because someone was alone and dying. He looked directly into the camera. If helping her is wrong, then maybe the galaxy needs to rethink what right means. Silence followed. Then Admiral Reyes nodded. We proceed. When Marcus returned to the medical bay, Aelthera was waiting. You chose, she said. He took a deep breath. We chose. Her eyes shone with something dangerously close to relief. Then my people will remember humans not as rulers, but as kin. Outside the station, the observing fleets began to withdraw. Not because they agreed, but because they had just realized something important. Humans did not act for power. They acted because they could not walk away, and that frightened the stars more than any weapon ever could. The preparation took weeks, but for Marcus Hale, time felt strange. Every hour passed too fast and too slow at the same time. The medical bay became a place of quiet purpose. Human doctors worked alongside artificial intelligence, while alien systems from Aelthera's ruined empire were carefully rebuilt and adapted. Nothing like this had ever been attempted. No shared medical history. No clear rule book. Only theory, risk, and trust. Aelthera remained still within her chamber, but her presence filled the room. Her mind was sharp, focused, and patient in a way that made the humans uneasy. She had waited centuries. Waiting longer did not frighten her. Marcus stood beside her often, not because he was required to, but because leaving felt wrong. Your people are restless, Aelthera observed one day. Marcus gave a small smile. That's normal. Humans get restless when something matters. This matters greatly, she said, to many worlds. Beyond the station, news spread quickly. Some alien governments cut communication entirely. Others sent spies, disguised as diplomats. There were even rumors of assassins, though none dared move openly. Humanity had placed the station under full protection, not with threats, with presence. Human ships rotated guard duty constantly, not in attack formations but in defensive arcs, hospital vessels.
Rescue craft, civilian transports repurposed as shields.
It sent a clear message. They were not preparing for war. They were preparing to protect someone who could not protect herself. Marcus attended one final medical briefing before the procedure. Dr. Kim's face was serious. We need to be clear, she said. The neural bridge will connect parts of your sensory and emotional systems to hers. You may experience memories that aren't yours.
Feelings you didn't expect?
Marcus nodded.
And if something goes wrong,
We shut it down immediately, the doctor replied. But there's no guarantee the effects won't linger. He hesitated. Will it hurt her? Dr. Kim shook her head. Compared to what she's already endured? No. That settled it. Before the procedure, Marcus was allowed one private moment with Althea. The room was dim, quiet except for the soft rhythm of machines. Marcus sat beside her chamber, resting his hand against the transparent surface. Are you afraid? He asked. Fear is a luxury of those with time, Althea replied. I feel, anticipation? He exhaled. That might be worse. Her eyes turned fully toward him.
Marcus Hale, she said, using his full name. I wish to say this clearly.
You owe me nothing.
He shook his head. You don't get to decide that alone. A small shift rippled through the energy field around her. Not movement. Something deeper. Then know this, she said. Whatever comes, my devotion is not ownership. It is gratitude. He smiled faintly. Good. Humans don't like being owned. I have learned, she replied, that humans belong only to their choices. The procedure began. Marcus lay on the medical platform, sensors attached to his temples and spine. Across the room, Althea's chamber adjusted, ancient systems aligning with human technology. Engineers watched closely. Doctors stood ready to intervene. Beginning neural synchronization, Dr. Kim announced. The world went white. At first, Marcus felt nothing. Then, he felt weight. Not physical, but emotional. A deep, endless stillness. Silence that lasted centuries. Loneliness so complete, it had shape and texture. He gasped. Steady, Althea's voice echoed inside him. Do not resist. He realized then that he was not imagining this. He was remembering. He saw her palace before it fell. Tall spires of light, voices singing in harmonized thought. A people who spoke without words, who trusted deeply and loved quietly. Then came the war. Not monsters. Not evil. Fear. Allies withdrew. Orders closed. Help never came. One by one, the Lyrian minds shut down, their bodies freezing as hope collapsed. Marcus felt the moment Althea's body failed. The sudden stillness. The panic she had buried for centuries. Tears streamed from his closed eyes. Heart rate spiking, someone shouted. I'm okay, Marcus whispered aloud, though he wasn't sure who he was answering. Through him, Althea felt something new. Pain that did not end in surrender. She felt Marcus's memories too. Human childhood. Scraped knees. Laughter mixed with loss. A species that failed often, but always stood back up. You keep going, she murmured in wonder. Yeah, Marcus said softly. We do. The synchronization stabilized. The machines adjusted automatically, responding to the shared neural rhythm. Dr. Kim stared at the readings. It's working. They're balancing each other. Outside the station, alarms blared. A fleet had returned. Not the observers. Warships! They're powering weapons, Admiral Reyes said grimly. They won't fire, a tactical officer said uncertainly. They will if they think this is their last chance, Reyes replied. Inside the medical bay, Marcus felt the danger before anyone told him. Althea felt it too. They come to end the possibility, she said calmly. Marcus clenched his fists. Then they're too late. Human ships moved into position, not charging, not retreating. Just standing there. The enemy fleet broadcast a final warning. Terminate the procedure or be destroyed. Admiral Reyes responded, without raising her voice. We do not abandon our own. Inside the medical bay, Dr. Kim hesitated. "We can stop this now." "No," Marcus said firmly. Aelthyra agreed. "If they destroy this station," she said, "my people will still have hope." "That is enough." Marcus felt her calm, her acceptance, and he rejected it. "Humans don't settle for enough," he whispered, the synchronization completed. In that moment, something changed. Aelthyra felt a spark within her mind that had been dark for centuries. Not movement, not yet, but connection. Outside, human ships activated defensive fields never meant for battle. Medical shields layered upon civilian hulls. It was inefficient, ugly. It worked. The enemy fleet hesitated. They had prepared for weapons. They had not prepared for humans willing to die standing still. One by one, the warships powered down. They withdrew without a single shot. Inside the station, the procedure ended. Marcus lay breathing hard, exhausted, but alive. Aelthyra's eyes shone brighter than before. "I feel present," she said in awe. Dr. Kim stared at the scans. "Neural activity has increased. The paralysis hasn't reversed. But it's no longer spreading."
Marcus laughed weakly.
"I'll take that as a win." Aelthyra focused on him, her voice gentle and certain. "You carried my past without breaking." He met her gaze.
"You carried mine too. Across the galaxy, reports spread fast."
Humans had faced down a fleet without firing. They had linked minds with an alien royal not for power, but for survival. The narrative shifted. Humans were no longer just dangerous. They were unpredictable, and that made every empire nervous. Marcus slept for 12 hours straight. When he woke, the first thing he felt was not pain, it was presence. Aelthyra was there, not speaking, not intruding, just existing beside his thoughts like a quiet star. For the first time in centuries, she was no longer alone. And for the first time in his life, Marcus understood something clearly. Humanity's greatest strength was not endurance. It was the refusal to let anyone face the dark alone. The galaxy did not calm down after the failed threat. It grew afraid. Fear does not always scream. Sometimes it organizes. Within days of the failed standoff, messages began to circulate through hidden channels. Old alliances that had not spoken in centuries found common ground again, not against humanity as conquerors, but against humanity as something worse, hope carriers. Because if humans could bring back a dead civilization, then no empire built on fear, control, or isolation was safe anymore. The first strike did not come as an attack. It came as a blockade. Trade routes into human space closed one by one. Neutral ports denied docking permission. Supply convoys were delayed or redirected. No declaration of war, no public enemy, just pressure. On the orbital station, Admiral Reyes studied the incoming reports with a tight jaw. "They're trying to starve us out without firing a shot." "They won't succeed," an officer said. "Humans adapt." Reyes nodded. "Yes, but adaptation still hurts." Inside the medical bay, Marcus Hale felt the pressure too. Not through screens or data, but through Aelthyra. "They are afraid enough to act together," she said quietly inside his mind. Marcus sat up slowly, still weak from the neural procedure. "How many?" "Many." "More than before," she replied. "Empires that once ignored one another now speak with one voice."
"About stopping you," Marcus said. "About stopping the idea of me," Aelthyra corrected gently.
Human engineers worked non-stop. The station was no longer just a medical facility. It became something else. A shelter. Yao, a symbol. A line in space that said, "Here we do not abandon." Civilian ships arrived voluntarily, bringing food, medicine, and people who simply wanted to help. Some stayed, some left supplies and moved on. No one was forced. That confused the galaxy. Aelthira observed everything through shared systems and Marcus's senses. She saw how humans argued loudly, disagreed openly, and still worked together when it mattered. She saw medics joke under stress, engineers argue with commanders, and commanders listen anyway. "Your people are chaotic," she nodded. Marcus smiled faintly. "That's us at our best." The blockade tightened. Then the attacks began. Small at first. Drones, sabotage attempts. A civilian transport was damaged near the edge of the station's defensive field. No lives were lost, but the message was clear. This would not stay quiet. Inside the station's command center, a new idea took shape. "We can't outgun them," Admiral Reyes said. "But we can outlast them, and we can make every attack expensive." "How?" an officer asked. Reyes turned toward Marcus. "With her." Marcus stiffened.
"Me? With both of you," Reyes corrected. "Princess Aelthira is still a sovereign leader.
Her people may be gone, but her authority remains." Aelthira heard this and considered it carefully.
"Once, my voice commanded fleets," she said. "Now I cannot move my hand." "You don't need to," Marcus said quietly. "You already move, people."
The idea was risky, dangerous, unprecedented. They went forward anyway. The first broadcast was sent across open galactic channels. No threats, no demands. Aelthira spoke through Marcus, her presence calm and unmistakable.
"I am Aethira of Valyrian Starthrone.
I live. My people are not gone. Humanity did not claim me. They stood beside me." She paused, letting the silence stretch. Those who attack this station do not fight humans. They fight the idea that extinction is permanent. The reaction was immediate. Some worlds cut the feed. Others listened longer than they intended. Then, the first true battle came. A coalition fleet jumped in without warning, not enough to crush the station, but enough to test humanity's resolve. Human ships moved instantly. Not in perfect formations, not with overwhelming firepower. They formed a wall. Medical ships locked shields together. Cargo vessels dumped supplies to lighten mass and reinforce defensive nodes. Small craft darted in and out, drawing fire, refusing to retreat. Marcus watched through shared sensors, heart pounding.
"They're going to break through," he said.
"Then they will learn," Aelthira replied. The station activated its final defense. Not a weapon, a signal. Across the system, emergency beacons lit up. Not military calls, distress signals, human ones. Old codes used for rescue. Ships answered. Not all human. Independent traders, border patrols, even a few alien vessels that had once received human aid long ago. They arrived without orders. The attacking fleet hesitated. They had expected isolation. They found community. The battle did not end in destruction. It ended in retreat. But the cost was real. Marcus felt a sharp pain tear through his side as a feedback shock rippled through the neural link. He cried out and collapsed to one knee. "Marcus!" Dr. Kim shouted, rushing forward. Aelthira felt it instantly. "Your pain." "I'm fine," he gasped. "Stay focused." "This is not acceptable," she said, voice tight. He laughed weakly. "Welcome to being human." After that day, the attacks grew more serious. Sabotage teams tried to breach the station. Marcus was nearly killed when a power conduit exploded nearby. He survived only because Aelthira sensed the danger seconds before it happened and warned him. She began to command. Through Marcus's voice and shared perception, Aelthira coordinated defenses with precision that stunned human tacticians. She predicted enemy movements, anticipated feints, and read intent not from data, but from patterns of fear. They hesitate here, she would say. They overcommit there. They fear loss more than failure. The station held, but Marcus paid the price. Every command strained the neural bridge. He grew thinner, tired. His hands shook when he tried to sleep. One night, alone in the dim medical bay, Althea spoke softly. "You are breaking." He didn't deny it. "Maybe. I will release the link," she said. "I can command less." Marcus shook his head. "No, Marcus. No," he repeated, firmer. "This ends when it ends, not before." There was a long silence between them. "Humans are terrifying," Althea said finally. "You destroy yourselves for others." He smiled tiredly. "We call that love." The final assault came without warning. A full coalition fleet, enough firepower to erase the station. Admiral Reyes issued evacuation orders. Marcus refused to leave. "So does she," Reyes said quietly. Althea spoke into the shared channel one last time. "I do not command you to stay," she told the humans. "You have already given more than any species ever has. No one left." The battle was chaos. Explosions rocked the station. Shields failed and reformed. Fires burned. People worked through smoke and fear. Marcus stood at the center of it all, voice raw, body barely holding. Althea's presence was steady. "This is the moment," she said. "If we fall, the idea survives." "Not good enough," Marcus whispered. Humanity unleashed its final answer. Not a superweapon. A broadcast, live feeds from the station. Medics carrying wounded aliens. Engineers dying to keep systems online. Civilians holding the line with nothing but shields and hope. The galaxy watched, and something changed. The coalition fleet faltered. Orders conflicted. Some ships turned away. Then more. The assault collapsed under its own doubt. When the last enemy ship jumped away, silence fell. Marcus collapsed. As doctors rushed in, Althea felt something shift deep within herself. Not movement. Strength. For the first time since the war that destroyed her people, she did not feel like a survivor. She felt like a leader again. And the galaxy, shaken and uncertain, began to understand something it could never unlearn. Humanity would not rule the stars. But wherever they stood, extinction would have to fight them first. Silence after a battle was never truly quiet. The orbital station drifted slowly, scarred and burning in places, surrounded by debris and broken weapons. Emergency lights flickered across damaged corridors. Smoke hung in the air. The sounds of repair crews, medics, and distant machinery replaced the thunder of war. Humanity had survived, barely. Marcus Hale lay in the medical bay, unconscious. His breathing was shallow, steady only because of machines supporting him. The neural bridge had been pushed far beyond safe limits. His body had carried more than it was meant to. Althea felt every second of it. She did not scream. She did not panic. She waited. Doctors moved carefully around Marcus, speaking in low voices. "He's stable," Dr. Kim said quietly. "But he won't wake for some time. His nervous system needs rest." Althea listened, her presence calm but heavy. "Will he live?" she asked. Dr. Kim met the alien princess's eyes.
"Yes, humans are stubborn that way."
That was enough. Across the station, word spread that the coalition fleet had withdrawn completely. Not regrouped, not repositioned, not withdrawn. The galaxy had watched the final broadcast. Not just the battle, but the people inside it. Humans bleeding, aliens being carried by human hands, ships refusing to leave even when escape was ordered. It was not power that ended the war. It was shame. Worlds that had supported the assault quietly stepped back. Governments issued vague statements. Some apologized. Most stayed silent. Aelthyra remained in the medical bay, watching over Marcus as days passed. During that time, something extraordinary happened. Her paralysis began to change. At first, it was only sensation, a faint awareness where there had been nothing. Then pressure. Then warmth. Her fingers did not move, but they felt. Human doctors noticed immediately. Neural regeneration, one whispered. Slow but real. Aethera absorbed this calmly. Purpose repairs what fear breaks, she said. Marcus woke 3 days later. His eyes opened slowly, unfocused at first. Pain followed awareness, sharp and heavy. He tried to move and failed. Easy, Dr. Kim said gently.
You're alive. That's enough for now.
Marcus swallowed. Did we win? A familiar presence settled around his thoughts.
Yes, Aelthyra answered softly. You frightened them.
He smiled weakly. Good. He turned his head slightly, meeting her eyes through the transparent chamber wall. You okay? He asked. I am becoming, she replied. Weeks passed. The station was repaired, not as it had been before, but stronger. New ships arrived openly now. Not warships. Not diplomats. Scientists. Observers who wanted to understand what they had witnessed. Human leaders refused to rush.
This is not a victory parade, Admiral Reyes said. This is a responsibility.
Aelthyra's condition stabilized fully. The neural decay stopped. Her body no longer retreated inward. She remained paralyzed, but the prison had loosened. Then came the final step. Not rushed, not forced, chosen. The process that would allow her people's line to continue was conducted with care, oversight, and consent from every side. There was no secrecy, no exploitation, only intent. Marcus was weaker than before, but steady. He stood when it mattered. When asked one final time if he wished to proceed, he answered simply. Aelthyra felt no fear. My people will live, she said. That is enough. The galaxy waited, not with excitement, with awe. Months later, the child was born. Not in a palace, not in secrecy. In a quiet medical bay, surrounded by humans and machines and hope. The child was small, fragile, and silent at first. Skin carried hints of both species, eyes closed, breathing shallow. Then the child cried. The sound echoed through the station. Not loud, alive. Aelthyra felt it like a star igniting inside her mind. Her breath caught. For the first time in centuries, tears formed at the corners of her eyes. Marcus held the child carefully, hands shaking. Hey, he whispered. Welcome. The child's cry softened, sensing the warmth, the presence. Something happened then. Aelthyra's hand moved, only a little. But it moved. Gasps filled the room. Dr. Kim stared at the monitors. Motor response confirmed. Aelthyra looked at her hand in disbelief. I can feel them, she said. I can feel my child. The galaxy learned the truth within days, not through propaganda, through reality. The child was not a weapon, not a ruler, not a symbol of dominance, just proof. Proof that extinction was not final. Proof that cooperation created something new, not stolen. Worlds that had feared humanity began to speak differently. If they could do that, one alien scholar said, what else could they save? Aelthyra was formally recognized again, not as a threat, but as a sovereign in renewal. Her people would not rise as an empire. They would rise as a culture, slowly, safely, with humans beside them, not above them. Marcus recovered over time. He never returned to frontline service. The neural bridge left marks that never fully faded. He felt Elthira's presence always gentle and distant now, like a quiet star in the night. He did not mind. One evening, months later, he stood beside her chamber, the child resting in a cradle between them. The station lights glowed softly. Beyond the viewport, ships moved peacefully. "You ever regret it?" Marcus asked. Elthira considered the question carefully. "Regret belongs to futures that fail," she replied. This one did not. He nodded. "Fair." She looked at him, her gaze warm and certain. "You changed the fate of my people." He shook his head. "No, we just didn't walk away." That idea spread faster than any fleet. Humanity gained a new reputation across the stars. Not conquerors, not saviors, but something far more unsettling. If humans stood with you, extinction had to fight through them first, and it usually lost. The child slept peacefully, unaware of the galaxy reshaped by a single choice. Elthira watched, her heart full. For the first time in centuries, the future was not a burden. It was a promise, and humanity had kept it.